that we have for you. When Kurt Benkert compares Jordan Love to Brett Favre, do you take that as a compliment? When Kurt Benkert compares Love to Favre, do you take that as a compliment as a Packers fan? Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Follow us on X and on YouTube as we live stream this bad boy as usual at WI Sports Radio. Same as the website, wisportsradio.com. You can get the audio version of the streaming at that point. Do you take it as a compliment? I would think that a majority of people listening will say, no. Nah, I don't take it as a compliment. Now, this analysis that he threw out there has nothing to do with Jordan Love off the field, has nothing to do with anything other than Jordan Love on the field and playing style. And what I think he's pretty much saying is he's more of a gunslinger. I'm so sick of that term. More of a gunslinger than Aaron Rodgers. Right? He's going to let it go. I was on CBSSports.com earlier today, and one of their writers, Cody Benjamin, puts up quarterback rankings on the CBS Sports website. And I was reading the synopsis or whatever you want to call it under Jordan Love. And he had Jordan Love in the top 10 in front of Mahomes, behind like Josh Allen or whatever. And he said, man, it's surprising that Jordan Love has only thrown 3 interceptions considering some of the balls that he throws up. Okay. You can call it surprising, call it whatever you want. But at some point, you have to acknowledge the fact the man's only thrown 3 interceptions. And I think a lot of times when people think of Brett Favre, what do you think of? You think of interceptions, for sure. You think of the idea of, okay, game-winning drives, last 2 minutes, clutch, doing your thing, and finishing. That's what you're thinking about at that moment in time. This Packers football team right now, is there a lot of Jordan Love late in the game, winning games, finishing games? Does that aspect remind you of Brett? Does he do it like Brett did it? Does Jordan Love throw several interceptions in games and cause you that way? Yesterday on Wisconsin Sports Daily, we talked about this nonsense as well. And it was in Charlie Sounds of the Day. I pulled up Brett Favre's stats and read the lineage of interceptions year in and year out. Man, his best year was 7. And that was the first year with Brad Childress in Minnesota at the end of his career. That was it. He had 1 year, 29 interceptions, 23, 25. He was in the teens damn near every year of his career. This man's never even been in the teens before. Ever. And I think most people, when they think Brett, they think double and triple coverage, but he can win you games at the end. But doesn't make the best decisions about where he's throwing the football to. I hate the comparison to Brett Favre with Jordan Love. Absolutely drives me nuts. I get it. Aaron versus Brett. Which one? Okay, yeah. Is he willing to take more of a chance than Aaron? Yes. But that does not mean he's way like Brett Favre. Like, I think that's a complete over-exaggeration of what Jordan Love is. Unless I'm missing something. He didn't go into detail what he meant. I'm just saying, from my perspective, they're not the same. I watched Brett's whole career. I've watched Jordan Love's whole career. Jordan Love does not remind me of Brett Favre, Tommy.
No, he doesn't remind me of Brett Favre either. He reminds me a little bit more, I guess, of some of the mannerisms of Aaron Rodgers, I guess, but I also don't think that's a fair comparison either, right? And I don't think that's what this offense is looking for. I don't think this offense is looking for Aaron Rodgers. I don't think this offense is looking for Brett Favre out of the Green Bay Packer quarterback position. I think they would love if Jordan Love was a completely different type than both of them. When you think of Brett Favre, you think of gunslinger. When you think of the Aaron Rodgers, you think of improviser, right? If Matt LaFleur had his pick, Jordan Love would be a game manager, right? He would run his offense, check it down, take what they give you. We'll have a couple shot plays drawn up here, but we'd like to run the football and control the game on the ground.
Right.
Now, is that necessarily a positive? I don't know, but it's not what Matt LaFleur is begging. Matt LaFleur is not begging Jordan Love to become more Aaron Rodgers or begging him to become more Brett Favre. This is not what Matt LaFleur has painted as the picture of Jordan Love. Now, where his potential goes, can he be a guy with a little more of a gunslinger mentality? Maybe, but I think that's just because of the arm talent. We really haven't seen that type of play out of Jordan Love ever. It's never been too much of, when he does do it, bad things happen because it's forced plays, right? It's downfield, terrible interceptions, poor decision making because it feels like he's
2 and 3 times in a game or in a half.
No, and it's at moments when you can tell he feels a little restricted, and he thinks that, well, this is my only chance where I'm going to have something drawn up down the field. I better take my shot, right? It feels like more of those occurrences than anything else when you see the shades of Favre or Rodgers with Jordan Love. No one's ever seen Jordan Love throw a check down and say, whoa, that was really Brett Favre. That was really Aaron Rodgers of him. It's his deep throwing and the deep passing game for the Green Bay Packers that draws these comparisons, in my opinion.
He is Tommy Wirtz, Sparky Fiver here. Joining us now is John in Franklin. You're next on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, and Tommy Wirtz. What's up, John?
Hey, what's up? Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. You guys. This was the problem for the young quarterback coming in, right? He was it's not his fault, but in Packerland, we've had these two Hall of Fame caliber quarterbacks, completely different quarterbacks. And now that's what we know as fans. So we're going to obviously try to draw some sort of correlation or direct distinction, against either one of these guys. And to my mind, I do understand the fact that we're coming off Rodgers, who is not going to turn the ball over and not make a pass that could happen on. And now we see a quarterback and we complained about that as much as we love the fact that Rodgers didn't throw interceptions. We love the fact he took care of the ball, but we were critical sometimes when he didn't take shots.
Correct.
When we thought maybe he should have.
Exactly.
So to my mind, this young man has just started writing his story. And I hope his story is what I've seen him take some of the best characteristics from both these guys and then add a little Jordan Love himself. And that's what Jordan Love's going to be about. He isn't Brett Favre. He's not the technician
Agreed.
that Rodgers was,
Yep.
but he's going to be his own man. And I enjoy watching the best parts of him that are correlated with our past quarterback.
Absolutely right, John. Thanks for the call. Have a good Thanksgiving. There's John in Franklin. Don't forget Green Bay football post-game show here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network coming up tomorrow from 3 until 4 o'clock. Tommy Wirtz and myself will taking your calls, your texts, and all that fun stuff immediately after the game is done. Coming up next, Keith Smith of Spa Track covers the NBA. We'll find out where he thinks the best fits are for the Milwaukee Bucks as they try to find that number 2 scorer, possibly between now and the trade deadline. That's up next. Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky filling in for Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis today. Both are off. I'll still be doing my show as well from 2 to 5. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wirtz producing as always, other side of the glass. Joining us now, one of my favorites. He is Keith Smith from Spa Trek, joining us here on this fine day. Keith, how are we? Where are you? Is it warm?
Yeah, I'm still in Florida. It's nice and warm here almost all the time. But when it gets cold for us, and then everybody else laughs at us.
Yeah, well, we've got like 40, 50 mile an hour winds, snow blowing sideways currently here. So I just wanted to know that there are other people.
Thanks, Keith. Yeah, thank you.
Aren't suffering from our coldness that we're having.
Hey, happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Keith, I wanted to have you on because the Bucks suck without Giannis, and I think everybody knew that was going to be the case when they lost Giannis. Then I saw yesterday a story that said Giannis is, top 3, top 4 in the MVP conversation as it sits right now. But realistically, before we get to trade possibilities of how to try and help this Bucks team do something more than what they're currently doing in the Eastern Conference, how realistic is it really for Giannis to win an MVP if this team isn't, a 1 or a 2 seed in the East?
It's going to be tough because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is playing great. His team is obviously, they're just laying waste to everybody in front of them. Nikola Jokic is again having another ridiculous season on a really good team. So when you put those two guys there, I'd say right now they're 1-1A in terms of MVP. So it's going to be tough. If you're sitting in the middle of the conference or lower, it's going to be hard unless he comes back and he's even better than he's been, and that's certainly not fair to expect. So that's that's nothing about Giannis or his play at all. That's more just about their candidates who are playing just as well, whose teams are really, really playing well themselves.
The other part about this is one of the names that was floated out there rumor-wise earlier today was the Bucks possibly having interest in Zach LaVine of the Sacramento Kings, but that dude is $45 million or so salary cap wise, and they're saying, well, Kyle Kuzma and the owner of the Kings are co-owners of some like professional women's volleyball team or something like that, so maybe Kuzma would go back. But realistically, in order to get a player of that magnitude, either Miles Turner would have to go, or there would have to be a third team involved, right, in order for the Bucks to pull something like that off.
Yeah, the good thing for Milwaukee is they're not working under any kind of hard cap constructions right now because they were a cap space team this summer. So that makes things a little easier for them. But that's still, like you said, that's a really big number to get to. You'd be talking you're using Miles Turner's salary in there. So you get a match, $45 million or so for Zach LaVine. So that means, all right, well, you can get there if you did Kuzma and Portis and then like 2 other guys. But now all of a sudden you're like, all right, we kind of ate in all of our depth and where are we going there? And that's the challenge, in this matching salary. And this is not a new, CBA thing or anything like that. Matching salary has always been a rule in trades. And for the Bucks, like I said, it's a little easier because they're not having to deal with coming in under a hard cap. But they have to get off that money, and it's one where then people are like, all right, we'll bring a third team. But it doesn't matter to bring a third team in when you still need to match the salary outgoing. Maybe it matters for a third team if the Kings don't want to take back one of those players or something like that. But that's a big number. And that's why I think, these $40 million plus dollar players, probably not the direction they're going to go.
Keith Smith joining us here on the Mason Crosby Show. You can follow him on Twitter at Keith Smith NBA. Keith, I just wanted your outlook here on the Eastern Conference as a whole right now. A couple of different things working itself out, right? The Pistons look really good. The Raptors somehow turning things around in a year. Cleveland still in that middle ground with New York where we thought they would be at the top. And the Milwaukee Bucks currently not even in the play-in at this point. This Eastern Conference, I know it's still early in the season. We haven't even gotten to Christmas when a lot of people start paying attention right now. But the Milwaukee Bucks, I think everyone knows you can't really take them seriously unless Giannis is a part of this team. But who are some teams in the early part that are going to be taken seriously that maybe have been, or some teams that you still think can turn this thing around coming towards that Christmas Day and then into the depths of the NBA season?
Yeah, it also starts with Cleveland and New York. I think those are the two best teams in the conference. I know they're not there record-wise right now, but I think their big thing is, I think the lessons they've learned over the last couple of years is winning a whole bunch of regular season games doesn't do a whole lot for you if you get to the playoffs and you guys aren't healthy and ready to go. So I think they're in a spot where they're kind of managing through the regular season, still winning at a pretty decent clip, but they're not going to push for every last possible win. And then Detroit, I think we've got to start taking them really serious as a team here. I know some are kind of still being a little dismissive, but this team is tough. They almost beat the Knicks in the first round last year. You talk to anybody there, they 100% believe if they had Isaiah Stewart and Jaden Ivey, they would have beaten the Knicks. They could have potentially then made an even deeper run against the Pacers as well. So that Pistons team is going to be really tough. So I think, they're there. Plus, they have a move in them. They want to make a trade. They've got all kinds of flexibility. They've got matching salary. They've got some draft capital they could use if they want to kind of go all in this year. And then, I think Orlando and Atlanta will get themselves into the mix eventually here. They're both starting to play a little bit better than the way they started out the season. So I think they're teams that will also factor in here. But I would, it's hard for me to pick anybody but Cleveland or New York, even if they haven't started the season on top.
And now, if the Milwaukee Bucks want to get back into this conversation, getting Giannis back a real start, obviously, but where do they still fall after you've gotten to see this team a little bit on the court? Ryan Rollins coming into his own, Miles Turner maybe a little underwhelming. Where do the Bucks fall with a healthy roster in this Eastern Conference after a few games now, seeing these other teams that you want to start taking a little more seriously?
Yeah, I think probably somewhere in the play-in tournament range. I don't know that they'll climb back up into the top six. I mean, they're obviously only a couple games back from doing that, but I think they have. We've seen now they're gonna that's about the level, right? I think they're a slightly above 500 team, and that's a team that'll be in the play-in tournament. And then for there, it's open. All right, does Boston fall out? Does Philly fall out? Does Chicago fall out? The Bulls are coming back to earth after a really hot start to the season. So I think it's starting to look at those teams. All right, can we get past one of those teams? Sure. That's not a huge ask to move past Boston, Philly, or Chicago, but moving past the other teams that are in front of them, that starts to get to be a bigger task, especially, because Giannis will get back here and, sounds like it'll be sooner rather than later, but then what happens if he goes down again? Or what happens if there's further injuries to the backcourt? Where do we go there? That's the challenge.
Hey, wait a second, man. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow, Keith. What are you doing, man? Come on. Be positive, Keith.
Hey, I live in a hyper-realistic world. It's it's easy to say when they get healthy, but when you have injuries early, there's no reason to believe, all right, we're going to get healthy and never have another injury. History has taught me, especially the teams that are kind of relying on some older players and guys carrying pretty heavy loads. We'll see where that goes. I hope they get healthy and they play well the rest of the way, but we'll see where it goes.
Okay, I understand. Celtics are in kind of in trouble. You may be a little bitter towards what's going on with the rest of the league, Keith. I understand, but I want to. This team actually has gotten much younger here recently. I want to go back to the Kings because when I was looking at the Levine stuff earlier today, I was like, well, this isn't happening. There's just no chance. But they do have an oldie but a goodie. A guy that's been friends with Brandon Jennings, who seemingly is at all games nowadays for the Milwaukee Bucks, and that's DeMar DeRozan. You look at his numbers, 24.75 according to Spot Track, 25.74 next year in 26-27. Now, again, age 36 year this year, age 37 year next year. But if you look at his overall numbers, his numbers haven't really dropped off at all over the last several years. He might be that actual number 2 scorer that they really need to Giannis to pair with Miles Turner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a more reasonable target than Levine because you're talking Kuzma.
Yeah.
Get you there. And then you have the kind of added benefit of, let's say you acquired DeMar DeRozan and it doesn't really work out the way you wanted. His contract's very lightly guaranteed. Well, it's about half guaranteed for next season. So you could get out of that contract for half of what you're going to pay Kuzma for next year. So now all of a sudden you're putting yourself, all right, now we're in a spot where we kind of have Giannis and Miles Turner and then Bobby Portis and AJ Green, and that's kind of our only big-ish salaries on the books, and they could be in a position where, again, all right, we can do some stuff. We've got all kinds of flexibility if they want to go that way going into next offseason. So I think that's, the kind of move where that could help you both on the court and gives you a little bit of cap flexibility moving forward. That's a more reasonable target than trying to go after somebody who makes 40 or 50 million.
Keith, outside of the Kings, are there any other teams out there where you're going, yep, I'm here, and they're going to blow this up between now and the trade deadline, and they're going to trade away some vets and try and get picks and young players?
Yeah, it's still a little early. Most teams try to wait until we get into at least the beginning part of December before they really, kind of pack it in. But here's the challenge this year. I think teams are already kind of looking at the standings and they're saying, all right, well, Washington is awful. Indiana is really rough with all the injuries that they've had. Brooklyn is going to continue to be bad. No one has a lot of faith that the Pelicans are going to start playing better. And teams are like, all right, if we're going to do this and try to get into the mix for a top 5 pick, we better make that move, sooner rather than later. And that's where I think a team like Utah, if they have the sense of, all right, we're kind of going the other way. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to trade like Laurie Marketing, because they continue to say, hey, next year we're going to push forward and we're going to try to be good. But they've got veteran guys like Yusuf Nurkic and Kyle Anderson, Kevin Love, who's actually given them fairly decent minutes. They could look to move one of those guys and say, all right, you need, some helpful front court depth. We've got these guys to offer. There's a sense that Dallas is open for business to at least some extent. They don't want to fully, tear the team all the way down, but there's some openings there. New Orleans has a couple veteran guys that could be at. Washington will move C.J. McCollum. Can't send Chris Middleton back to Milwaukee, but they're expected to, look at him, and those are going to be deals where it is, all right, these are expiring contract veterans. You take them, send us some money you don't want with a draft pick, and we'll go. And then the other team in the East is Brooklyn. They're not as loaded with that kind of veteran talent, but a guy like Terrence Mann has a very acquirable contract. He's somebody that could help. So those teams will pivot towards that. And then the one everybody's wondering about is what happens with guys like John Moran and LaMelo Ball. Everybody's kind of wondering, are those guys going to be on the move here before we get going here? And the other team is Chicago. If Chicago continues to slip, will they look to move guys like Nikola Vucevic and Kevin Huerter and Zach Collins? Maybe if they don't have the sense they're going to re-sign Kobe White or Ayo Dosunmu, those are going to get out of control for them to re-sign. Could they move those guys as well?
He is Keith Smith. Always a fun guy to have on the air. Follow him on X at Keith Smith NBA. Of course, works with Spotrac. And you also have the front office show on YouTube as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're on YouTube. We're partnered up with the NBA, so you can find us in the NBA app as well there. And then we do, occasionally the show pops up on NBA TV also. But NBA front office show, YouTube, you can find us there, several times a week. This week, a little weird holiday week, but we are getting a show in now, and we'll have another show later this week.
Very good. Keith, have a happy Thanksgiving, man. Appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much. You as well.
Take care. There he is, Keith Smith. Again, follow him on X at Keith Smith NBA. Man, I don't want all that negative talk. Thanksgiving is tomorrow, man. Don't tell me, well, this guy could get hurt and they could get hurt and that could get hurt. I'm trying to go into this thing with a happy, peaceful state of mind. That's what I'm looking for.
I would have thought you would have been an overlook Thanksgiving kind of guy with your Christmas love. I didn't expect you to be so festive towards Thanksgiving.
I don't know. I'd say it's festive. I have no Thanksgiving decorations necessarily up in the house or anything like that, but it's still watching football and eating food and doing that. And tomorrow we'll be on the air doing the post-game show. Powered by Lakeland University with myself and Tommy Wirtz starting at 3:00. But yeah, I mean, that's a cool day. And then Black Friday, we talked about this yesterday. That's always been one of my favorite deals, going shopping and doing the stores and all of that fun stuff. So be able to do that Friday morning because I'm not on the air till 2. So we're able to go maybe do some Black Friday shopping on Friday. So that'll be fun. And then come in and do the afternoon show. And then Saturday, I know Duluth Superior got hammered with a bunch of snow. Or he's getting hammered currently with a bunch of snow. And in the Milwaukee, southeastern Wisconsin area, we're supposed to get our own little snowstorm coming up on Friday night into Saturday. Not nearly as much snow, though. I think.
No, I think I heard like 5.
Yeah, 5-6 inches, something like that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend myself. All right, take a quick time out. Come back on the other side of this. I saw a tweet last night from Zach Cruz, who's with USA Today, covers the Packers. And he was giving free advice, essentially, to Packer fans on Twitter about the media that cover their team. And as you could expect, he was meant with hostility. I will explain. Don't forget, if you are listening to us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, very, very thankful for you listening on the network, of course. And regardless of where you may be listening, if you're listening on WNFL in Green Bay, Appleton area, 99.7 FM, or in Wausau, 710 The Game, or Duluth, Superior as well, 93.9 The Game in Wausau, 710 The Game in Duluth, Superior, or in Milwaukee on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan in Milwaukee. Appreciate y'all listening. Looking forward to continuing to build our relationship around the state of Wisconsin going forward. Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of your Green Bay Packers. Steve Sparky, Pfeiffer. Tommy Wirtz, other side of the glass. Next week, 19th annual toy drive for Children's Wisconsin and Robin's Nest. Robin's Nest, the foster care arm of Children's Wisconsin. Stop by Blades Farm and Fleet in Oak Creek between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily, next Monday through Friday, the 1st through the 5th of December, to donate in person. If you can't make it, you can always go online and donate at wisportsradio.com, wisportsradio.com to donate today. Also, you will find a text number, which we'll be promoting on the air next week as well. If, you can't make it down to Oak Creek because you're in Duluth Superior, or you're in Green Bay, or you're in Wausau, or you're listening in Milwaukee, but you're far away from Oak Creek, totally understand. No problem whatsoever. And all kinds of different ways for y'all to help out. And our goal at the Farm and Fleet in Oak Creek is to fill this gigantic semi-trailer. That's kind of the goal every year. So hoping that we are able to achieve that. Also, I had said in the break that in Milwaukee, we were expecting somewhere in the area of like 5 inches or something like that of snow. Good old KS, a longtime listener, tweeted at Sparky Radio from the ABC affiliate in Milwaukee that says Saturday's snow system could dump 8 to 10 inches of snow across the region. So the snow totals have gone up in southeastern Wisconsin. So I still don't think we're going to get to like 18 inches or something like that, like we were seeing possibly for the Duluth Superior area. So we'll see. Either way, not that much fun. Tommy was telling me in the break that he doesn't like snow.
Oh my God, no.
So as a kid, you didn't go sledding, build snowmen.
Does not make up for my hatred for it now.
So you did do that stuff.
Yeah.
Why do you not like it now?
Well, because it's cold, it's gross, and it's cool for a day. And then after that, it gets all dirty and nasty, and you go to those parking lots where they have those giant snow banks up until May 1st because of all the snow melting. Yeah, absolutely not. No.
Really?
Snow's awful.
You're that bitter about it, huh?
I would never see snow again in my life if it was my choice.
So that'd be the reason you'll move at some point. Will be to get away from the snow.
Yeah, I guess it would factor in, but I guess I don't feel that strongly it's like, I've lived here my whole life in Minnesota, the other big portion of it. So I've been seeing snow my whole life.
I don't like driving in snow, but I love getting the snowblower out. I like shoveling.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No one likes shoveling.
Yeah, man.
No.
It doesn't. It's peaceful, especially when the snow's all done and it's peaceful and it's 9, 10 o'clock at night and you're outside and there's nothing else going on and it's quiet. Yeah, man, it's peaceful. You can really, find your inner you while while shoveling.
I can't imagine you find zen when you have a snow shovel in your hand more than anywhere else.
I've never met zen, no. Zach Cruz on Twitter last night was trying to be positive and helpful, right? Senior editor for NFL Wires of USA Today and at the Packers Wire on Twitter. And I love Zach Cruz on Twitter. I've always wanted to get him on the show. I can't figure out how to get a hold of him, but he always has good stuff. So a couple days ago, he puts this tweet up. Just wanted to say one thing about Packers media. No matter how you want the team covered, you could find a media member or content creator who does it your way. Doesn't mean anyone is doing it right or wrong. Be the fan you want to be and pick the coverage that fits. This has 148 likes, over 10,000 views, all of that. And of course, you have to have people throwing rocks for whatever the case may be. Midnight Cheese. I swear to God.
Government name, do you think?
Midnight Cheese. I don't know, man.
All right.
Tweets back at Zach Cruz. It says, sorry, but no. The people who constantly crap on the team and point out all the problems and complain about everything don't deserve a platform and are not real Packer fans. To which I ask you this question. As a Packer fan, what are you looking for out of members of the media covering your team? Covering your favorite team. We're not talking about Stephen A. Smith. We're not talking about Colin Cowherd, Kay Adams, Dan Orlovsky. Just those that cover the Packers, right? Those that are the local people that is what they do. They talk Packer football. What are you looking for out of those people where you'll be like, oh, yeah, I like following that person. Or, oh, yeah, I like listening to that person because do you know in that tweet, do you know who got the most hate in responses of who people dislike the most?
If I had to guess, it would have been a podcaster. If I was going to guess,
it is a person that does a podcast. Is a person that is a frequent member and a person that we have on to interview on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
My first guess would have been Pete.
Absolutely.
That's who I thought it was.
Peter Bukowski under fire, I tell you.
Yeah.
On the tweet mentions coming back.
And I really didn't look at the mentions. That was my guess.
But Peter Bukowski, just kidding, killed.
Yeah.
I can't have Peter Bukowski, blah, blah, blah. Listen, again, like he said, Zach Cruz, and he is right. If you don't want that, if you want sunshine and rainbows, there are people out there that will give you sunshine and rainbows and really not be all that negative about the Green Bay Packers. If you want analysis and thoughts and that type of stuff, and people that watch the All 22 and the game film and all of that and are knowledgeable, there are people out there for you on that as well. Just like sports talk radio show hosts. It's no different. There are plenty of people that can't stand me, and then there are others that do like me.
I was going to ask, are we included in this?
Yeah.
That's weird if we're included in this.
Of course we are.
I don't know. Like,
we talk about the Packers.
We talk about them,
Mason Crosby, John Kuhn, Trevor Thomas, Josh Albrecht, Rami Maglov. We all talk. I
guess it makes some sense to me. But when I think of like covering the Packers, you know, I'm not in the locker room every day, right? And there are guys who are in the locker room every day, and we tend to talk to the people who are in the locker room every day.
Tom Silverstein,
Pete Doherty, whoever
Paul
it is.
Brettel,
right, yeah. You know, those are the guys that have a lot more of the inside information, insight that we like to broadcast as opposed to we are coming up with it. We then have our personal and thoughts and predictions and analysis from the information we get from these guys, but it feels like they're a middleman for this organization and this type of vibe, as opposed to like, I don't want to say that we should be seen as more entertainment than information by any means, because we wouldn't broadcast things that aren't facts. But when you come to listen to a sports talk radio station, it's a completely different vibe than if you read a Pete Doherty article, right? So I understand how you want to consume your sports media can range in a whole bunch of different ways, but lumping in radio personalities with media coverage of the team on site, like, I don't know, it just feels like a weird thing to me.
There is no question whatsoever that when you talk about what people want, Trevor Thomas is sunshine and rainbows for a large portion. That's who he is as a dude, just in life and all of that, right? That's who that dude is. So some people that like that are going to love that dude.
Right.
Those that don't love that and want more negative or you call it more realistic, whatever you want to call it, then they're going to like Josh. And you're going to have that show inside Wisconsin Sports having fans going back and forth on what they like to listen to. Now, on the Mason Crosby show that we're doing right now, how would you describe you three when it comes to talking about the Packers?
I would say that Mitch Nellis is critical, Mason Crosby is analytical, and then I am just the facilitator.
You're the facilitator.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine if I wasn't a part of that? Like, they'd be all over the place. I might be a bad facilitator.
I'm talking about, but we're talking about Packers views on the Packers when it comes to that show.
I'm hopeful, but I'm also critical. I want to be critical because I have the high expectations for this team, and that's why I think it becomes a little more critical because of the high expectations.
Coming up next, Jeff Rieger, 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit, gives us his preview on the Packers and the Lions coming up tomorrow. Also, got a text in here on the Talk and Text line about a guy that loves shoveling. We'll read that to you as well. Coming up next, Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I got some news.
All right, so that mysterious voice you heard was not God. It was Tommy Wirtz. Ladies might call him that in Cudahy, but either way, there he is, other side of the glass, producer of this fine show. See Sparky Pfeiffer filling in for Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis today. Don't forget Green Bay football postgame show tomorrow, powered by Lakeland University with Tommy Wirtz and myself starting at 3 o'clock. What is your news, Tommy?
Per Ryan Wood, good friend of the show, Packers released kicker Lucas Habrasek.
Thank God!
And
yes!
McManus seems to be all the way back from his quad injury on his kicking leg.
And that's what I'm most thankful for this Thanksgiving is Lucas Havrasek, get out of here. Not because I don't like you, not because I don't wish you well, because I do. I hope you go and you kick 60-yard field goals all over the NFL. But I'm done with having a stupid kicker controversy unnecessarily in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So, yes, I'm all for that. So, yeah, that's good. That made me happy. Also, we were talking about loving shoveling. I don't know. Anybody could love shoveling, Tommy Wirtz said. The 920 on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line says, I'm 69 and I still love shoveling. I like driving in the snow with my 4-wheel drive pickup and I still ski. You need to get a hobby that you can only do in the winter and then you'll look forward to cold weather. Ron in Rome.
I have a great hobby. It's called drinking coffee. Hot coffee in the winter is awesome. That I look forward to that every day.
You don't need a hobby. You need kids. No. Kids take care of that for you. Jeff Rieger, 97-1 The Ticket in Detroit. He knows all about kids. Follow him on X at Rieger1984. Winters are different once you have children, aren't they, Rieger?
Yeah, it's weird, Sparky. By the way, weird show I'm walking into. You're happy that a kicker is unemployed. Very un-Thanksgiving mood. I don't appreciate that, Sparky. Not to mention, who the hell likes shoveling? What's the matter with you?
Thank you.
Shoveling is like that peace and quiet. And yeah, man, cold air, fresh air, you know.
You need to meditate, it sounds like.
I got a house full of kids. I got no time to meditate. You need to stop all that nonsense. So before, Rieger, you came on, and we're going to get to the Packers and the Lions and all that stuff. Tommy was giving me a hard time. He's like, this 911 story, because I teased it ahead of time. He goes, I've heard this story. I swear to God, every time Rieger comes on, you talk about it. But now we're on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. We're on in Green Bay, Appleton, Wausau, Duluth, Superior, and, of course, in Milwaukee. So the people in Milwaukee probably know the story. But before I get to that, I would like some explanations on a couple of other things.
I have very sensitive skin.
Is that true?
I have very sensitive skin.
Do you have very sensitive skin, Rieger? What?
You brought me out to interrogate me, the biggest bar night of the year? Yes, I have sensitive skin, of course. I have something, Sparky. I'm glad you asked. I have something called seborrhea right on my nose area, so they gave me a steroid topical cream that deals with it, but you can only use it 2 weeks out of a month, so they're concerned that I'm overusing it, which I don't know what it's going to do to me. Maybe I'm like Barry Bonds. I gain a lot of muscle.
Okay, that's sensitive skin. What about this one?
I shave my legs.
You shave your legs, Rieger? That's a thing?
No, I definitely don't. No, that was I don't remember even saying that.
I shave my legs.
Like it's edited.
No,
I shave my legs.
You definitely said it. It's in the quick drop folder. Mike Wickett made it years ago.
I shave my legs.
You definitely said it.
Yeah, I can't remember why. I was probably lying. I mean, I have waxed a couple times, but definitely not shaved. I'm kidding.
I feel like that makes your skin more sensitive if you just keep shaving your legs.
You have sensitive skin and you wax. You know how much pain that's gonna mean?
Do you shave your nose too?
Yeah, you think I have a hairy nose? This is a very weird interview, guys. I thought we're talking Lions Packers. I don't shave my legs. I don't shave my armpits. I do have sensitive skin. And what else you got for me?
Boycott this team. Boycott this team. Boycott this team.
Explain who you were talking about.
Boycott this team.
The Milwaukee Bucks, if I remember correctly, everybody wanted, and I can't remember who the coach was.
Terry Stotts.
Over, right? Yeah, so Terry Stotts gets whacked, and all of Milwaukee's happy, and everybody was begging for this. And I was doing a Bucks postgame show, which I didn't do very often, and I remember coming on, and I was taking a lot of calls. People were angry. The Bucks lost, and they wanted Krzyzewski fired. So I'm like, listen, you got two options. You can either give this guy a chance, or you can
boycott this team.
There you go. So that's what we were talking about. It was actually a very positive message from me, I believe. I was sending the message of patience. And if I remember correctly, the Bucks GM called you the next day and said he agreed with the message.
This is the thing. I was in spring training with Tim Allen. We were doing shows. I was in a hotel room or motel room, depending on where we were staying that year. And I had the communications unit connected, the headphones on, and I was listening to the show that I normally hosted, but couldn't in Arizona because I couldn't watch the Bucs game. And I hear Rieger go, boycott this team if you don't like it. I took my headset off, probably the same ones we still have, took my headset off, threw it across the room. And Tim goes, what is going on? I'm like, he just told the people that listen to the Bucs postgame show to boycott the Bucs. I'm like, now what do you think that's going to mean to the Bucs then? So now I'm livid. I call the hotline. Rami Makloff was producing the show, who was on 9 to noon. He answers. I was like, dude, you tell Rieger to call me. Quit telling people to boycott this team. I'm yelling at him. Rami's like, oh, okay. Hangs up the phone. And then Rieger, you get told to call me, I guess. And then that's when the problems went sideways and how you got labeled 911.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, I'm sure it's still the same. To dial out to make an exterior call,
you have to dial 9, correct? Yes.
Right, but then it was 9 and then the 1 for the area code of wherever I was calling you.
Yep.
And then I accidentally hit another 1. So the 1 stuck, so I accidentally called 911. I realized what I did. I hung up, and they, of course, send the Hales Corners Police Department.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you can take over from there.
Yeah. So now I'm listening, and I'm listening to Rieger say the police just showed up. Rieger's on the air. And he goes, I think they're racially profiling Rami right now because they're talking to Rami while we're on the air. That's what he's saying on the air, Tommy.
I mean, just digging it deeper.
Completely digging in, right? If that cop is listening through the speaker of him saying that while he's talking to Rami, things aren't going to go well for Rami at that point. But either way, that whole thing happens. Now, again, so now what happens? Now Rieger gets blowback from people. Man, what are you doing telling people to boycott this team? And then this happened.
I didn't really mean boycott the Bucs.
See how quickly he walked that back?
I didn't really mean boycott the Bucs.
He clearly said boycott the Bucs. I played the clip for you.
Man, look, Jeff, I said that Jaden Reed should run this offense last year. So,
you said Jaden Reed was going to be one of the best receivers of all time.
I said he'd be better than Randall Cobb. I said he'd be better than Randall Cobb.
You're lying.
100%. That was
we'll
dig it up.
That.
I noticed that you can dig up old stuff, so I'll dig it up. I have no problem with that. Jeff, if you were going to call 911, would you rather call it on the Detroit Lions or the Green Bay Packers?
Oh, that's easy.
With their situation right now, because it seems like biting kneecaps could be a criminal offense, and some people are ready to do that in Detroit.
Well, you guys just get right to it, eh? By the way, I love this setup. We wasted 8 minutes on a setup to finally get to the Lions. Very impressive, Sparky. If I had to call 911, in fact, I'm going to do it right now just to get the hell out of this interview. If I had to call 911, I would call on the Lions, I think. The Lions are hurting. I mean, not only do they have offensive line issues, but Graham Glasgow, their center, hasn't practiced all week. So they're walkthroughs, but it doesn't look like he's going to play. He has a knee. Kirby Joseph yet is not going to play again. But more than anything, guys, this isn't the biting kneecaps Lions of the last couple years. It's not the same offensive line. It's not the same offense. Unfortunately, they're going to see a Micah Parsons that has been playing all year instead of seeing a Micah Parsons that had a week of practice on the opener that they saw him last time. I don't think this goes well for Detroit. And the writing's kind of on the wall. The Dan Campbell biting kneecaps staple has always been, we don't lose 2 in a row. And they haven't, to his credit, in 3 years. But usually after a loss, like they had to the Eagles a couple weeks ago, the next game they would eviscerate the opposition, especially when it's a 2-win Giants team. And it took overtime and some luck and some bad coaching by the Giants to win last week, or it would have been a 2-game losing skid. And the Lions pretty much, their playoff hopes would have disappeared. So I do think there's issues. The offensive line's not as good. Defensively, they're giving up a ton of explosive plays. All in all, I think this is not going to go Detroit's way tomorrow. So if I had to call 911, I say, please, yes, help the Lions. They have issues right now.
Talking with Jeff Rieger, 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit. Follow him on Twitter at Rieger1984, and you yourself can see his beautiful skin. Let's talk a little bit about Dan Campbell taking over play calling. Yeah, Dan Campbell taking over play calling. TJ Lang, the former Packer offensive lineman and now analyst with the Lions, was on the 9 to noon show with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff, and he was talking about since Campbell took over, It's clearly different, but they've been struggling on third down and extending drives since he's taken over. Would you agree with that? And what do you think the issue is?
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's a Dan Campbell thing. I just think that's a Lions thing. They've been the worst in third down efficiency and success rate when John Morton was the OC and now when Dan Campbell is the OC. And I truly believe it all stems back from the offensive line. Guys, last year they had Frank Ragnow at center, an all-pro center. They had Kevin Zeitler. Their superpower was the offensive line. All the time they could pick up a 4th and 2. They could pick up a 3rd and 3. Now, in those situations, it's not exactly the same. And defenses, when they're allowed to pin back and blitz, they're blowing up that offensive line, and Jared Goff is under all kinds of pressure. And as you know, Jared Goff is the worst quarterback in the NFL when pressured, especially that interior pressure. And when you get him off his mark, he really struggles. So I think it all starts with the offensive line, and I'm not quite sure it matters what plays you call. As far as Dan Campbell calling plays, he's been fine. He hasn't been much better than John Morton. There's one constant with this offense. When they face better defenses, they lose. They faced you guys in the opener, they lost. Kansas City, they lost. Minnesota, Brian Flores, who they owned, by the way. Ben Johnson owned Brian Flores. Now Ben's in the Windy City, and Brian Flores came into Ford Field as an 8.5-point underdog, and they said, listen, we're going to blitz the hell out of you. What can you do to stop us? And the Lions couldn't adjust. And then you look at the Eagles game, too. They scored 9 points against that defense. So I don't know if it's a play calling thing. I just simply think the offensive line, the heart and soul of that offense, isn't good enough. And I think you're going to see it again tomorrow, unfortunately. Unfortunately for you guys.
What about from the defensive side, Jeff, for you? You mentioned a couple of injuries there with Kirby Joseph coming out. Aiden Hutchinson's coming back from the injury. He was kind of a non-factor in week 1 of that game. This Packers offense hasn't looked all worldly either. A lot of controversy on if it's, place some blame on Matt LaFleur, place some blame on Jordan Love. Do you see opportunities in this Lions defense capitalizing on a Packers offense that seems to really be struggling with identity so far in 2025?
So before last week, I would say yes. And then they gave up 350 yards passing to Jameis Winston and 2 crazy-ass trick plays. And the New York Giants eclipsed 500 yards of offense against that defense.
With Jameis Winston.
I'm not quite. What's that?
I said with Jameis Winston.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not quite sure I could say yes, guys. I think as much as the Packers have an identity crisis offensively. By the way, Matt LaFleur might want to pass on first down. I've noticed that he always runs on first down. But as much as you guys might have an offensive identity crisis, I think the Lions have an identity crisis as well. And they play that man. And the Packers are good against man, not to mention the Lions are really bad at stopping explosive plays. They're a bottom 3rd team in the league. You guys are a better team offensively with the explosive 10, 20 yards. And Jordan Love is really good on Thanksgiving, 5 touchdowns and no picks. So, again, I don't like this game for the Lions. Now, here in Detroit, people are pretty confident that the second time around, no way you'll get the best of the Lions. That first game, there was massive communication issues, a couple rookies on the offensive line. Lions fans are like, listen, we couldn't expect to win that game because what are you going to do? It's the first game with everybody together. Well, since then, it seems like the offensive line has gotten worse. So I'm not quite sure that the Lions make it good tomorrow. But, yes, I think probably after what you saw against the Giants, I can't give you a whole lot of confidence that this Lions defense is going to be able to have success against Jordan Love and the Packers.
The other part about this is if we go back to the Lions offense, you're talking about the offensive line, and Jahmyr Gibbs has that huge game, obviously. But last year and this year, Jahmyr Gibbs hasn't done squat against the Jeff Hafley defense. He's averaging like 3 yards a carry, I think, in the contest he's had against Hafley's defense. And if I'm the Lions and if I'm Dan Campbell, seeing how bad that defense is, I do want to run the ball a lot, and I do want to control the clock because I don't want to give that Packer offense more opportunities than possible. Do you feel like that probably will be the game plan coming in or no?
Yes, 100%. I think they're going to try to run the ball as much as possible. The problem is, last time they held Montgomery and Gibbs to 80 total yards rushing, maybe it was 83 rushing. So if the Lions are forced to abandon the run, considering they fall behind, if that happens, then I think they're even in more of a world of hurt. So I think the game plan is going to be run the football as much as possible, to your point, extend offensive drives. And the Lions last year, and even earlier this year, they were pretty good at long, extensive drives that drain the clock. They haven't been as good at that recently over the last 5-6 games, but with the game that Gibbs is coming off of, you got to believe they're just going to feed the rock to number 0. With that being said, you guys stop the run. So it's going to be really interesting. Also, don't let it fool you. Gibbs is one of the most electric running backs, maybe the best skill position player currently in the NFL.
I love him.
With that being said, they were going against the Giants team that just fired their DC because what Gibbs did to them. So I'm not exactly sure that the same outcome is going to happen tomorrow.
Jeff Rieger, 97.1, the ticket here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network on the Mason Crosby Show. Jeff, I got one more for you here. This NFC North looks like it's going to be a crazy race down the end. A bunch of backloaded schedule, division games in there. The Lions still in the mix. The Packers still in the mix. And the Bears, another interesting one that seems like no one's really putting a lot of respect on their name. How do you see this thing panning out at the end for the NFC North?
All right, so if you had to choose, right, you guys answer me this because I've been struggling internally with this. The Bears are fake. We believe the Bears are fake. I know in Green Bay you're going to say they're fake because you don't have respect.
Well,
them.
it's very,
agree they're fake,
yeah, it's
correct?
very similar to that Viking season where they had the negative point differential and they were 13-4, right? That's kind of what it feels like. And they lose to the Giants in the first round of the playoffs with Danny Jones at quarterback.
Yeah, I would say, Danny Jones, but I would say I agree. Like, the Bears really are going to be tested with this week on Friday, Black Friday. They're in Philly. Then they have to play you guys twice. They have to play the Lions one more time, and they got to go to San Francisco as well. I think their only gimme, if I'm not mistaken, is a game against the Browns.
It's Cleveland. Is that Well, that's not even a gimme. I mean, that's a defense that's really good over there, and who knows if Shador's got the place running by then.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, we'll find out more, obviously, this weekend. But I think the Bears are going to play themselves out of it. I really do, despite the fact their offensive line has played well, despite the fact they just won a game against the Steelers. I know it was Mason. I know it was a backup quarterback, but they were missing 6 defensive players. But they needed miracles to win against teams that are no good, whether it be the Raiders or the Bengals or whatever. So I am saying no to the first place Bears. I think it comes down to Detroit and Green Bay, and obviously tomorrow is the advantage. I mean, think of it this way. If you guys win that game tomorrow, you pretty much got the tiebreaker against the Lions, you got the half-game lead already with the tie, and then you add another game. So if you win tomorrow, the Lions' chances of winning the division with 5 games remaining, and they got to go to L.A., and they're playing the Dallas Cowboys. They got to go to Chicago, too. I think they got no chance to win the division. If the Lions win tomorrow, then there is a chance, a really good chance, that they'll be back in first place in the NFC North once Friday evening comes around, because I think we all think Philly's going to beat the Bears, right? So I think it comes down to Detroit and Green Bay, and as crazy as it sounds, on Thanksgiving, with still 5 weeks remaining, I think whoever wins tomorrow is going to win the NFC North.
There he is, Jeff Rieger. We call him 911, 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit. Follow him on Twitter as well at Rieger1984. I have a happy Thanksgiving. And are you working on Thanksgiving? Are you doing anything Lions related or no?
No, thankfully. I work tonight. I get tomorrow off, and then I'm working afternoon drive on Friday. I got to work Saturday as well. So I'm like, it's an unbelievable weekend, as you guys know. But we also get Michigan, Ohio State on Saturday, Maryland and Michigan State at Ford Field, a game nobody will attend on Saturday as well. So it's a massive weekend. And guys, I probably got to go because the cops just showed up. I think I did it again.
Hey, Rieger, reach out. Maybe we can do a simulcast of both afternoon drive shows together on Friday. That would be fun.
Let's do that. I mean, what do you guys think happens tomorrow?
I think the Packers win something like 27-17 or something like that. If you look at the numbers, the Packers normally score 27 points in every game they've won this year. Or more. So that's normally the number they need to get to win. So that's where I'll be at on that. Tommy?
I think the line is just screaming at you to bet Green Bay, like 2.5 for Detroit. You figure it's Thanksgiving, the home field advantage. Like this should be all in Detroit's way, but the betting odds are screaming at you to bet Green Bay. And sometimes you're supposed to go against the grain on that, but I can't not see it. I like Green Bay in the points for sure. And then I like them to win outright in the game as well. I think that this team found something last week.
As much as it pains me, I happen to agree with you guys. And I mean, here in Detroit, again, I think most people are very confident the Lions are going to be able to make this good. But real quick, before you go, I don't know that the nation realizes that the Lions may have lost a step. And maybe I'm totally wrong, and maybe they go bludgeon the Packers tomorrow and I look like a fool. It's not going to be the first time. In fact, it happens often. But there's something missing with this Detroit Lions team. So much. I was watching Pat McAfee the other day. Daniel Orlovsky, former Lion, ran out of the back of the end zone, went 0-16. He said this interior of the offensive line for the Lions is probably bottom 5 or bottom 3 in the league.
We led the show with it.
Same clip.
Oh, did you? Okay. Well, there you go. And Orlovsky is usually a Lions honk.
Yeah.
Like he usually goes out of his way to pretty much homer for the Lions. And hearing him say that, it kind of cements my feeling that I just don't think it plays out the Lions' way tomorrow. But we'll see.
We will see. Jeff Rieger, 97.1 The Ticket in Detroit. Follow him on Twitter at Rieger1984. Thank you so much, and let's try and hook up on Friday. That'll be fun.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. We'll see what we can do.
Thank you. There he is, Jeff Rieger, joining us on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Of course, he joins us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. Sports Talk on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Coming up on the other side, the Badgers. Yeah, I know. I know. I said earlier, let's keep it happy. Let's try and be in a good mood. But yeah, the Badgers actually kind of have me in a good mood after the last 3 games that we've watched. They've won 2 of 3. They got the twerp, PJ Fleck coming up this weekend and Minnesota. How has your opinion on Luke Fickell changed this year, if at all? Maybe it was one way at the beginning of the year. Maybe you've swayed a little bit here in the last 3 weeks. We'll have that conversation straight ahead. Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. The Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of your Green Bay Packers. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen coming up next with me with Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's 2 to 5. Lomas Brown, longtime lineman for the Detroit Lions, coming up in that show. Also, on the semifinalist lists that were put out by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He'll be joining us coming up. Looking forward to talking to him. Jake Kokorowski, Badger Observer. Used to be with the Wisconsin State Journal for a long time. He'll join us, talk some Badger football. Looking forward to checking in with him. A busy show coming up on a Friday edition of Wisconsin Sports Daily this afternoon from 2 until 5. I want to get into this Badgers and Luke Fickell situation specifically. Luke Fickell is a guy that when he was hired, we all loved, we all adored, we all championed. We were all like, hey, man, this dude here, he wants to be a national champion. He wants to raise and elevate this program from just being a bowl team to being a playoff team to competing for national championships. That's what Luke Fickell sold everybody in the portal. That's what Luke Fickell sold all the people in the locker room. He wanted that to be where they go. And Mr. McIntosh, who runs this program, knew in order to cement his legacy to the level of Barry Alvarez or more, they kind of had to get to that next level. Otherwise, if it was status quo, it'd be like, oh, it's a house that Barry built. And it's never going to change. And it may still never change. But if you're going to cement your own legacy, you got to do something. And if you look at Mark Murphy and the Packers, yeah, they got a Super Bowl, but what's his legacy going to be? It's going to be Titletown, right? That's what it's going to be, the Titletown district and everything that got built up and all of that around there. Now, Ed Policy was a big part of that, but now Ed Policy is officially in charge. Now, what will his legacy be when this is all said and done? What will people know Ed Policy for? So McIntosh, I think, went into this and said, I'm going to be the AD that gets us our first national championship, and I'm going to have Luke Fickell be the guy that's going to get us there. He got Cincinnati to a Final Four playoff berth. If he can do that for Cincinnati, he surely can do it from Wisconsin. He was at Ohio State. He knows how they run their program. He knows how they win. We're going to do it here. And then it failed horribly. And it's been bad. It's been getting worse every year. Now, maybe they hit rock bottom earlier this year. But now all of a sudden, they've won 2 of 3, and they got that twerp, BJ Fleck in Minnesota coming up this weekend. So now you have the opportunity to win 3 of 4, kind of going out and really kind of maybe changing opinion of Luke Fickell, the Badgers, and all of that other stuff. The question is, how has your opinion on Luke Fickell changed this year, if at all? Nicolay Law, talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. And don't forget, you can stream us live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. All right, Tommy, where we go?
Yeah, I think you brought up, there was a key word in there where you said failed. I think that where I was going to go with this is that maybe after that Iowa game, you kind of felt like the Luke Fickell experiment or experience failed.
I think that might have been rock bottom.
I now think that we can change it to failing as opposed to failed. If you would assume failed, it would be over. It'd be done. He's gone. It failed. I think failing is a little bit better terminology now, and it may be a bit of an improvement on what Luke Fickell has done, because there is no denying that when everyone was calling for his job after that rock bottom performance, there were words from players saying that we're not giving up on him.
Yep.
You know, we're not giving up on him. We're not throwing in the towel. And you saw it in the 14-point loss to Oregon. That was one of the best games they had played all season. It felt like to that point,
For
being
a half,
competitive.
they were with them for a half.
You know, you went into Autzen Stadium, one of the toughest places to play in the country, and you didn't quit. They didn't quit. Well, then they translated that momentum into the win over Washington. And that was a game where you saw, okay, this team still has some fire. This team still has some hunger. Then it's Indiana that kind of messed up the momentum, but you cover the spread on it. And then afterwards, the Illinois beat the guy who used to be the coach here. This team is definitely not quit on him. And that's something that you can tell has to start from the top down. And whether it was Luke Fickell that initiated that, Chris McIntosh who officiated that, like, this is now a team who has not fully given up, and they just landed a 4-star today. They just landed an interior offensive line 4-star, so obviously on the right path to getting something back.
You know how many offensive linemen that puts into this recruiting class?
1.
Yeah, 1.
I mean, I'm not denying that at all. I definitely think that there are things that could be done better, but Luke Fickell and his players had said that they haven't given up on him, and I see it now. I at least see that much. So failing more than failed right now. And by the way, like, give him his credit. He hasn't put a whole lot into the NFL and a player development side of things, but Posa is one of my favorite players to watch. I can remember.
Posa are both great.
Yes,
I love them both.
I love watching them.
Yeah, it's great. Good. I love watching Hunter Waller too. What did that get me? Just a bunch of losing teams.
But Waller was like going to be good. He was a stud. He was just a hometown kid. Saying,
I loved watching him too. It didn't go anywhere with the team. Didn't go anywhere.
So
great. We got 2 middle linebackers. Unless this Badgers team figures out how to get a quarterback that can play at a level that can match up with the likes of Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State. You got to find a quarterback that can play at that level. Until they do, man, we're in the same boat.
But no, we're not. We're in a completely different boat than we were in 4 weeks ago. Completely different boat than it was. Right now, who are the 2 best players on the Green Bay Packers in your mind?
Micah Parsons, Jordan Love.
I disagree. I would go with one of the middle linebackers. No. I would think that Edgerrin Cooper would probably get more pull than Jordan Love on that. It's a team that's built around studs in the middle with Edgerrin Cooper and with Quay Walker, and Micah Parsons is your edge. Posa has kind of been jumping. He can rush from the edge and be in the middle. And they have Catalano. It's the foundation of the defense. It's very important too. And they've gotten some great play out of Peterson, who won't be a part of the future, obviously, because he's a senior. But I think that this team, you see the foundation now, but now you got to put the effort in, go get a quarterback. Still 100% needed.
Peterson's baby brother is going to be a lottery pick in the NBA draft too. But Peterson, I give credit to him, man, because he could have left. After last year, he could be like, man, I am not doing this again. I am out of here. He could have left, hopped in the portal and said, see ya, and went somewhere else. And he didn't. He stayed, played his whole college career there, and is probably going to be an NFL draft pick. So I give him credit. But if we're talking about how has your opinion on Luke Fickell changed, man, I don't think it's really changed much other than the aspect of, they are still fighting for him, which means leader of men type stuff. Check. He's that.
Sure.
But we've always known he's that. He doesn't call offense.
No, we have not always known he's that. He has not showed that since being at Wisconsin until now.
He does not run the offense. He does not run the defense. So the only reason he's in that position is because he's a leader of men. That's it. That's the reason. That's all there is. He ain't a play caller on either side. So he's not doing double duty. He literally puts together a staff. His first offensive coordinator failed. Not a fan of this guy either. But again, until he gets a real quarterback that can play. And I like Carter Smith. At least he can run a little bit. But he's not competing against those guys we were talking about. That's what he's got to find. And until he finds that, you may win 6 games to get to a bowl game from year to year. But I don't think it goes any farther than that, to be honest with you. Where are we going here? Q in Milwaukee. You're next on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. What's up, Q?
Hey, guys.
What's up?
So the Badgers issue, do you think it's been more coaching or more of a money issue?
Well, I would have probably said coaching until Chris McIntosh makes the comment of, oh, we're going to spend some more money. That really threw him under the bus in this whole operation. He probably could have died on Luke Fickell wasn't the guy, and maybe he was just now making a Hail Mary effort to save his job in that too, where it's like, we need to spend more money. I didn't hire the wrong guy. We just need to spend more money.
I don't care about I'll be honest with you. Does money get you to the playoff level? Absolutely. But that does not excuse the lack of player development from this coaching staff for 3 freaking years, man.
Totally agree.
I'm sorry. Bielema coaches these guys better. Alvarez coaches these guys better. And probably Paul, Chris, and Jim Leonard coaches these guys up better, fundamentally, technically, all that.
I mean, even Gary Anderson was going to bowl games.
They put him in a position to succeed at a much higher level than what we've had from this coaching staff.
But I don't think player development is as meaningful in NCAA today than it was in the Bielema era, because transfer portal is so prevalent. Like, developing a guy just gets them to a better school.
But this is
So,
well, hold on.
I think
Q, hold on a
on.
second. You're talking about getting them to the better school. What freshmen did they develop that they got to a better school?
Ooh, I got one.
I think we've had plenty of players that moved on.
No.
After 1 year.
What freshman? You got Paulus. Will Paulus, he came here from Cincinnati and then left and went to Notre Dame.
Was
Fine.
Chimere Dike Luke Fickle guy?
I don't know. You have to check.
All right,
the
I'll double check.
cornerback that got into the lawsuit at Miami, he was a Fickle guy. And then they had the whole lawsuit going on because he wanted to go to Miami in the portal and the Badgers wouldn't put him in. That dude might be somebody really good at some point. We'll see, but there's not much there at this point.
I think the real reason I called is I appreciate the fact that they're sticking their neck out there and sticking with Fickle, because firing him and paying him $30 or $40 million to not coach for us does not fix the problem, which in my mind is mostly a name, image, and likeness money, NIL money issue. I think it just digs a deeper hole for us. So I'm glad to see them winning 2 of 3, but I'm more glad that to me it's like Damian Lillard getting traded to the Bucks. That was the right decision at the time, and it just didn't work. I like that McIntosh stuck his neck out there with Fickle, and he's doing it again. Like, if this doesn't work with Fickle this time, he's not going to get a second coach.
Sure he will.
Like,
as long as Barry Alvarez, as long as Barry's there, he's not going anywhere, Keith. Thanks for the call. Just telling you right now, that's Barry's guy. It's just not happening. They're not getting rid of him after one coach.
Yeah, I'm looking at so he's been the guy since 2023, Fickle. DK came in at 2020, so I was wrong on that one. But looking at some of the recruits that have come in, and let's see what we know from this. If we go back to the 2023 class, you're looking at Jace Arnold. You know who that guy is? Nope. Nate White, who left. I remember him. Kekahana is still here.
Still there.
Yep. Tyler.
Remember, he decommitted at one point and then recommitted.
Tyler Jancy, Amari Snowden, Braden Moore, AJ Tisdale.
Snowden's gone. He's in. I don't know if he's even in D1 anymore.
James Durand, Jordan Meyer, Cole LaCrue, Justin Taylor, Christian Allegro. So that guy, he's
still there.
You know, he's just playing with broken arms still. And Tucker Ashcraft, who I believe is still there.
Yep.
Too. Looking at some of the guys that came from the portal. In that same year, that's the Mordecai year. He didn't work out. Braden Locke, Will Pauling, and CJ Williams. Again, I don't know.
Yeah. Amari Snowden was a recruit they had that was highly regarded out of that, I think, Cincinnati, Ohio area that they got. I think was supposed to go to Cincinnati. Do you know where he's playing now?
I do not.
Toledo. That's not going up on player development.
Yeah, and then looking at the next year, again, just no names popping off of anywhere here. Dylan Jones is in the running back room, I believe, still. And so is Darian Dupree. But other than that, no one getting developed, really, since he's been there.
No. The 414 on the Nicolay Law Talking text line, 414-677-1250. Steve in Germantown, I'm thankful for the Wisconsin Badger players who have continued to play hard and won 2 more games in a morbid, awful season. Yeah, I'm with you. I told on Monday, I said, man, I'm more excited about the Badgers win than I am the Packers win.
Yep.
Because I can't stand Bielema. So to have them beat Bielema was sweet, sweet, sweet music. And you beat multiple ranked teams on the way out after you were as bad as they were. I'm telling you, I think that Hawkeyes game may have been rock bottom for Fickle and his program. And that now maybe you're going on the right way up. But the issue is still going to be the quarterback and whether or not they can figure that out. Man, I just read his text message. Is this the same guy whose text message I just read? I bet you money it is. Steve in Germantown, did you just text as well?
Yeah, I did.
I just read it on the air while Tommy was screening you. But that's okay. Go ahead. What do you got?
2 questions. So one with McIntosh. So, I mean, he took his swing, right? And right now it's a miss, but they're working for it to try and build away from the Wisconsin way to accelerate the program higher, correct?
Yep. They're saying they're going to spend a whole bunch more money. So we'll see. I don't know where this money was prior to this, why it took this long to get to that point. But either way, they claim they're going to spend more money.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's got his wagon hitched to Fickle. He can't go back to the old way. Otherwise, he looks like a doofus.
Correct.
I mean, But the other question is, so what exactly are, I shouldn't say it. So Fickle and his recruiting in Wisconsin is really, really maligned. I've got a couple of friends that are D1 recruits. They both said family-wise, they went to Madison, and Fickle never even said hi to him.
Yep.
I mean, just terrible. And
I've heard instances with Fickle not going to alumni events around the state and not showing up at different fundraising events that they wanted him to go to, not going to those either. I was a big Luke Fickle fan, but I'll be honest, I haven't heard a bunch of positive stuff from alumni about him.
I think that's the killer with the development thing you were just talking about with, I think it was Q, and I think he's right. The development is, Wisconsin really thrived pulling 2-3-star recruits from the state and building them into the Joe Thomases of the world, the Chad Cliftons of the world. So that's, I think he's just swinging and missing bad, kind of ignoring the state of Wisconsin.
Correct. And meanwhile, you've got offensive linemen playing at Notre Dame, playing at Penn State. And it's not like he's missing offensive linemen at Wisconsin and they're going to play at Toledo. He's missing offensive linemen. They're going to play at Power 5 schools that are normally pretty good schools at that. Steve, thanks for the call.
Currently right now, by the way, just wanted to put this out there in case. I know that they've talked about his recruiting in the previous years and how it was always better than it ever was with any of the other coaches. Currently right now, the Wisconsin Badgers in the 2026 rankings, 62nd in the recruiting department.
I don't know for sure, but I think their recruiting class this year is smaller as far as numbers they're bringing in. So sometimes if you don't have bigger numbers in recruiting classes, that will bring your number down overall.
That's sure. I mean, is Georgia never in the top 5? Alabama's in the top 5.
Always.
Oregon. I mean, looking at it from the Big Ten side, if you want to count USC's got the number 1 class, right? And Oregon is 5th. Ohio State is 6th. That's just in the top 10 that I can see from the opening screen right here. I haven't dug any deeper into it. I can't imagine they're better than they're not in the top half, and they absolutely should be in the top half of recruiting in that conference.
He is Tommy Wirtz, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer over here. Thanks for tuning into the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, as we broadcast live on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you missed any part of today's show, you can listen anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the Mason Crosby Show on your favorite app, hit the follow button, and you can catch up on every episode, every hour, every highlight, whenever works for you. Coming up next, Extra Points featuring Deion Sanders. I'm telling you, don't turn the channel because you heard Deion Sanders. You will be impressed. That's next here on the Mason Crosby Show. Welcome back. It is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. Don't forget, 19th Annual Toy Drive, Blaine's Farm and Fleet in Oak Creek next week. Monday through Friday, we'll be collecting toys from 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., I should say, each day. 9 to noon with John Kuhn featuring Rami Makloff. Rami will be out there on Monday from 9 to noon doing the show live. Noon to 2, Mason Crosby and Mitch Thundernells will both be at Blaine's Farm and Fleet in Oak Creek doing their show live. And then I'll be there all week from 2 to 5 as well, doing Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. So hopefully everybody can make it out. If you can't make it out because you're in Wausau or Duluth, Superior, Green Bay, you can go online and donate. Simply go to wisportsradio.com, wisportsradio.com. I want to play this here for you because it is that time of the show where we have to do this right here. Check this out from Deion Sanders talking about former wide receiver Jordan Tyson, who left Colorado when Deion was there.
Who was the best receiver on the past team we just played?
Jordan Tyson.
Jordan Tyson. Didn't Jordan Tyson play here? And he left because of several different things. Jordan Tyson found his way into my dressing room downstairs at the conclusion of the game. Jordan Tyson came in there to say, "Coach, I apologize." I said, "Young man, let me tell you something, man. I love you. I appreciate you. I pray to God that you're a top 10 pick, top 5 pick because you got it. You don't have to apologize to me. You're young, man. I was young. I was making some of the same mistakes when I was a short of your age. I'm just thankful that you got on the right course." He's trying his best to walk with the Lord. I mean, Hines Ward is his coach, and that's my boy. So I understand this, and Jordan told me some things personally. But isn't this what it's all about? That moment. Even though we're getting our butts kicking, I'm sitting up there going through the game in my head, and he walks in, full uniform, and says that. You got to understand, man, that cleans up a lot of the mess that's going on, that's transpiring right now.
That is awesome from Deion Sanders talking about that kid. That'll do it for the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. Have a good Thanksgiving.